Welcome to Craig's Gun Channel. In this video we're going to cover the Lorcin L32. Lorcin Engineering Company was one of several domestic firearms manufacturers included in what was called the Ring of Fire. These interrelated companies, all originating in the Los Angeles metro area, produced a line of essentially the same firearm scaled up or down depending on the caliber. This simple blowback operated design, while not elegant, proved to be functional and lent itself to be used in a variety of calibers ranging from .22 long rifle all the way to 9mm. They were generally painted black, but they were also available chrome plated. The design was simple to produce, with most parts being produced from Zamic, a zinc alloy. You may be more familiar with this material as it was commonly used in the cap guns from the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Steel was used where required, such as the barrels, springs, and pins, and the grips were generally plastic. Using such cost-effective materials resulted in the pistols being very affordable, and these companies were for a time the largest pistol producers in the United States. They were able to produce an option for firearms ownership for people that might not have been able otherwise, due to financial reasons, own one. However, due to their low cost and large numbers, they inevitably found their way into crime and were branded as Saturday night specials. In fact, the Lorcin 380 had the distinction of being the most often gun traced at crime scenes for several years running in the 90s. Quality issues plague these firearms, and the materials and poor craftsmanship they were produced with does not hold up well to extensive use. The net result was that in 1996, Lorcin filed for bankruptcy amid a series of wrongful death or injury claims of people either killed or wounded from alleged accidental discharges. Today, these pistols, which were produced in huge quantities, can still be found frequently in gun shops and gun shows throughout the country. This one is a Lorcin model L32 and 32 ACP. Let's take a closer look. And first step before working on any firearm is make sure it is free and clear of all ammunition. So first step would be remove the magazine. Here's the magazine release on the Lorcin series of pistols. It's located in the rear of the grip area. It operates in typical fashion. You would just push in on that, and that would release the magazine. And as you can see, the magazine is free and clear. Now, there is no slide lock on the Lorcin series, so on the last round fired, the slide will not lock open, and there's not even a manual lock. So you would need to pull the slide back while looking in the chamber area to make sure it is clear of all ammunition. So make sure your finger stays off the trigger. You can pull the slide back and check into the chamber area, and as we can see, it is free and clear of all ammunition. So we can go ahead and take a look at the other controls and features. It does have a safety right here. It's currently on the fire position, which the safety is pushed down. To put the safety on, you would lift up on that, and now it says safe. Now, this safety will lock the slide from being able to be pulled back, and then it also locks the trigger and sear assembly to lock it in place so that the firearm will not be able to go off. So we'll go ahead and put that down on the fire. It has 3-dot sights. They are cast into the frame. They're not adjustable. And that's pretty much it as far as the controls and design features. So now we'll take a look at the disassembly. This is our disassembly button right here. Now there is a little hole that's in the middle. That's actually to tell you if your striker is in the cocked position or not. Currently it is not in the cocked position. I'll go ahead and cock the slide back, and this now cocks the striker. You can see the back end of the striker through the hole there. So if it is cocked where you can see that, the first step would be to release the striker, to release the energy on that spring. So pointing in a safe direction, you'd pull the trigger, and that releases the striker. So then you can go ahead and proceed with disassembly. Now, this is the disassembly latch right here. You would push in on that while at the same time pulling back on the slide and lifting up on the slide. Now this is under spring pressure, so you need to make sure you kind of keep a hold of it as you do all that. Now it's helpful to have a tool of some type so you can push in, because it has to be pushed into the frame or into the slide like that. So making sure you're keeping track of all that, otherwise it'll go flying on you. You push in on that while lifting, pulling back on the slide, and lifting up. And then once it's free, it just will slide off the barrel. So, take a look at the frame first. There's our recoil spring that will just come out. Now, if you notice, there is another spring in there. That's a buffer spring. You should just leave that in there. The recoil spring just goes over that. This is our sear right here that catches the striker. When you pull the trigger, it just pulls that down. The barrel is a fixed barrel. This is our disconnector right here, that when the slide comes back, it disconnects the trigger from the sear controls right here. So really, this is as far as you would want to disassemble any of this. If you remove this grip panel here, the fire control parts, the trigger bar, the disconnector, these parts here, this grip panel and the slide itself are what hold those parts in there. So if you take this grip panel off, all those parts come out. And I do not recommend you do that. You need to make sure that they are put in the proper order and correct position to ensure that the firearm will function and be safe. If any of this is moved out of position, the firearm might be unsafe or might not function at all. So this is as far as you should really take it down. At this point, you could get to everything to clean it. You can get into the barrel, the outside of the barrel, you want to clean it, the inside. Wipe all of this down. Now, if you notice here, these were just a painted finish, and it's just a cast, that zinc alloy. The barrel is steel, but the rest of this is that zinc alloy, and it's just wore the movement of the slide has just wore the paint off, and it's actually gouging into the metal a little bit. And there again, these are not meant to be a real durable firearm. They work, however, they will not take, you know, thousands of rounds of firing. They're just not designed for that. So that's as far as you want to go with that. We'll take a look at the slide now. Now here was our disassembly button. You can just pull that out, and it's right there. Then we have the striker spring, and then we have the striker itself, and it all goes into the slide just like that. So you'd want to clean everything off. There's no other disassembly or service to do with the slide. This is our extractor. It's pinned in right there. Now the extractor can be removed if it's damaged. However, there again, the slide is made out of that zinc alloy as well, and it does not take to repeated assembly and disassembly, so you want to leave those pins in there unless something's broke. So you can get to everything just fine to clean it, so you basically want to scrub everything down, give it a light coating of oil for lubrication and corrosion prevention, and that's pretty much it. So for reassembly, put your striker in first. It goes in like that. That's the firing pin right there, so that goes in first. Then you have your spring. Then you have the lock piece. Put the recoil spring over the buffer spring. Now at this point, you would put the barrel through the opening in the slide there. The recoil spring will end up sitting on that section right there. So you then pull the slide back. Now once it comes back, you need to then get your little tool. You'd push in on that assembly button while pulling the slide back and down, and then it should come back flush with the back. So once that's in place, do a function check. See, our striker is locked back, so you can go ahead and pull the trigger, point it in a safe direction, pull the trigger, hold the trigger down, pull the slide back, make sure that the striker did go into the cocked position, make sure the trigger goes forward and that it resets, and we're reassembled. At the range, I found that this pistol lived up to my expectations. Okay, today we're out at the range with the Lorcin L32 ACP. We'll go ahead and take some shots and see how it does. The slide does not lock open on the last round. And it's kind of all over the place accuracy-wise. Not surprising given the loose fit of the barrel and the slide. These were never designed or marketed to be what you would call a precision target gun, obviously. And a little bit of failure to feed there. I'm aiming at the same, the center of the of that particular target. Go ahead and try that again. And have that. It's kind of a odd way it's jamming here. See if you can get a look at that. And had another one of those failure to ejects. And another one. That was the last round on that anyway. I fired a total of 50 rounds through it, and during the session had a total of 5 malfunctions, 1 failure to feed, and 4 failures to eject. That's a failure rate of 10%. It's also not what I would call accurate, which is also what I expected with its loose tolerances in the barrel, frame, and slide, combined with crude, non-adjustable sights. While millions were made and were used, these were never designed or built to be a high-quality or durable firearm. The craftsmanship ranged from okay to poor, and the materials used in their manufacture are not durable. They're prone to stress and mechanical failures. Even dropping them on a hard surface can result in them cracking. This is especially true for the L380, as the 380 ACP cartridge is almost too powerful for the pistol's size and construction. The 32 ACP is more suited for the pistol. Unfortunately, the 380 was the most prolific of them. The reality is they will not hold up to repeated use, and they were never designed to. While I have shot this pistol, I would caution viewers if they purchase one to be careful if they choose to use it, especially true for the 380. Be sure to carefully inspect it for signs of damage or stress, especially on the slide. If you're unsure on doing this yourself, I would urge you to take it to a gunsmith to look over. However, don't be surprised if they refuse to inspect it or give it a clear bill of health for you to use. I hope that this information is of value, and if you like the video, I would ask that you hit the like button and subscribe if you want to continue to see more like this. I value your comments and opinions, and as always, until next week, stay safe.